Well, if you're just tuning in, this is the Waxing Comical podcast. I'm Dane.
And I'm Luke.
That's Luke.
That's me.
We're going to talk about comics today, which I know is a stretch for us.
Yeah, that's new.
So yeah, the kid also raps several times in the movie.
And what movie was this again?
The Visit, the one with the old people.
Ah.
It was decent. Like, it was a lot better than I thought it was going to be. It was funny.
So
Though there were some parts... What?
It was supposed to be like a horror comedy, right?
Like, more like a thriller. And not, like, I wouldn't say thriller comedy, but more like... It's kind of like when there's funny parts in The Walking Dead. It's not like a comedic scene. It's just like lighter than the rest of everything. Yeah, like organic, like how you would make jokes in real life. It's not like comedic situations. It's a terrifying situation. It's just that things they say and do are kind of funny sometimes.
I mean, I imagine the whole movie is just like a really normal visit to their grandparents' house, and it's just through the kid's eyes that it's just awful.
Oh, no, not at all. No.
No?
No, there's a twist. Because it's M. Night Shyamalan.
Oh.
My theory was that, going into it, my theory was that the twist was going to be that the old people were time travelers, and that they were the kids from the future, and they were crazy because time travel.
And they thought, this is our one chance to fuck with ourselves.
Yeah. No, they're just crazy because of time travel. They're not meaning to do this. They're just nut bars. Because that's what happens when you travel through time and meet yourself.
I guess that makes sense.
To be clear, that's not the twist. I was wrong.
Well, I'm going to go in expecting that, and then it'll be super surprising when it turns out that the grandparents are Bruce Willis, I assume?
My second theory was witches. Well, because there's a scene in the commercial where the grandma's like, "Can you get into the oven to clean it?" So I was like, okay,
awful.
Witches.
Yeah. They were just going to cook the kids, which is fine.
And then the last, 20 minutes is, really tense when the kids find out the twist. when the twist becomes apparent, because it's, found foot, not found, it's, from the camera. Like, the kid has a kid, the daughter is doing, a documentary of them meeting the grandparents for the first time, because the mom...
An awful documentary.
Right? Oh, she's 15, she's so pretentious.
Ugh.
She's such a dick. And the kid, the little one, raps and is a germaphobe, and he looks like Chucky, like the doll, but before he got all stitched up, he looks like the good guy doll from the first 3 movies. The kid has the same haircut as Chucky, except his is blonde and not red. But yeah, it was a lot more decent than I thought it was going to be. I enjoyed it. I had a few good laughs. I was expecting witches or time travelers. I didn't get those, so it was an emotional roller coaster.
So is that the first, good M. Night Shyamalan movie you've seen since Unbreakable?
I haven't seen Unbreakable.
Really?
Yeah. Well, I've seen Sixth Sense. I don't remember a lot about it. I saw The Village. I don't think I've seen any other of his movies. Oh, I saw Devil, but he didn't make that. He just, produced it or wrote it or something.
Was it awful? Because it looked awful.
It's really stupid.
Yeah, Unbreakable's good. It's like a comic book movie, just without a comic book that it's based on.
Yeah, I've heard it's really good. I think it's on Netflix right now.
It was. It might have gotten taken off recently, actually.
And it's Bruce Willis, so of course it's good.
Of course.
Unless it's Cop Out or many of his terrible movies. Hudson Hawk, I assume.
I have heard that's bad. It's another one I haven't seen.
Apparently he had his hair, digitally touched up.
Ugh.
Oh, no, sorry. Sorry, not digitally, because that wasn't a thing back then. I think they had to, draw on each individual, film frame.
No, I think they just took,
that's what I've heard.
They just took a window. They took a window and drew on it in brown Sharpie, and then held it in front of the camera.
It was just why a window? Why not just put a filter in front of the camera? Why go through all that extra work?
Because if they had done that...
Sergio, we need you to blow some glass. Now we need a window that will fit in front of our camera.
Well, if they hadn't done that, then it might have been a good movie. But they didn't.
Would it might have been a good movie?
I can't know. I haven't seen it.
I know, exactly.
It's all hearsay. Speculation.
Your Honor.
Alright, so... For the actual episode that we're doing right now, what we're actually talking about...
Yes, 10 minutes.
It's a very special episode. Right, Dane?
Yeah, it's our Stay Off Drugs special.
Oh, shit. We're gonna have to do that in, another month. when everything's out of my system. But for this episode, we're going to talk about ourselves, which is what everyone wants to hear about.
Yeah, dude.
And our origin stories, which is... So comics.
Yeah, comic books.
Those things we read.
Yeah, I do alright.
You read comics, right, Dane?
I do read comics. I read some today.
Am I saying that right? Comics?
Comics, yeah. I mean,
Okay.
we prefer comics in the community, but I'll let it slide.
Comics.
Comics. Like a cone, but with a M.
Why do you read comics, Dane? Why do you do that?
'Cause I like the pretty pictures. I'd be ashamed if people found out I couldn't actually read. So I just get the plots based on context, of what's going on.
I'm
Like
sure
if
that
people are
works fine.
surprised or if they're punching and stuff. It's worked pretty well so far. I seem to be getting by all right.
Are you?
I think
Are you?
so. Yeah.
Dane? Are you?
Are you doing a Barbara Walters because I'm getting emotional?
It's not your fault.
No, today I was actually reading 52.
And what is that?
The series 52, not just
52 random comics.
52 I do that every Tuesday. I just pick out 52 random comics and just blaze through them. It was a weekly series after Infinite Crisis with DC, where like pretty much every comic like skipped ahead a year after Infinite Crisis. So this is like the story of that missing year. So it's like real time. It's 52 issues, so one each week. And it follows a menagerie of characters. I'm reading it. I've read it before, but I'm rereading it because it ties into my JSA stuff I've been reading for the past like 2 months. Because one of the main plots is Black Adam ruling over Kandak, and he's a big part of JSA. So I'm rereading that, and then I'll be reading his mini-series Black Adam: The Dark Age afterwards, which is rad because he is just one of the best characters of all time.
He's pretty great.
Yeah, and we'll see how The Rock does when he plays him with or without hair. We have yet to see.
Really? Is that up for debate? He's
yeah, well, because like in Injustice, I think he has a version like a costume for like the alternate universe people where he doesn't have hair. And The Rock, when was the last time he had hair in a movie? Because like he doesn't really play characters anymore. He just plays The Rock with an assortment of facial hair.
And you know what? It's working for him.
It is. It shouldn't be, but it is.
It's what the people want.
Well, yeah, but why? Why do the people want that?
He's pretty charming.
I'm sure he is. I don't know. But he likes Black Adam, so that's a good thing. Like he wanted to play it. I hope he has his hair. Like he's got like slicked back. Like he looks like Namor from Marvel, but buffer and without wings on his ankles. And he dresses way finer.
Which I didn't know until recently that those wings are actually what make Namor fly. Like he actually needs those tiny little wings on his ankles to fly.
Yeah, it's like how Nightcrawler can't walk in a straight line without his tail. More complicated.
I mean, I guess I'm impressed with the balance of it, because I would think if I was flying with tiny little wings on my ankles, I'd be going like feet first, just kind of dangling below them.
You'd be going standing straight up and flying forward like a monolith.
Well, no. I mean, like I'd be upside down with my feet just dragging me behind them.
I wouldn't. I don't think he would look that dynamic in the comics if he did that.
Probably not.
So maybe realistically he would, but in the
he'd
comics,
be a lot less arrogant.
I don't know. He's pretty good at being arrogant.
He's so good at that, which is why I don't much like him.
But yeah, we'll see how The Rock does as Black Adam. I hope he has the hair because like he looks cool too. Like it's a whole package deal. And I hope they don't try to like movie up his costume too much. Like I loved the old version. That was cool. But the new 52 one is also like a really good redesign. And I'm hoping they basically just go with that.
Oh, I just remembered the last time The Rock had hair in a movie that I remember.
Scorpion King?
Scorpion King, yep. With his very long hair.
With his mullet. I feel like, because that was like 2003. I feel like there's been there's been way more movies recently
You would
that not
think.
recently, but
Well, just since then, yeah.
yeah.
Did
I don't know.
he did he have an accent in those movies, or was it just straight up
I don't know.
American accent rock?
I, he had to have. He had to have had an accent.
Because that's another thing that I feel like he's just going to be Black Adam.
You know what? I haven't seen that probably in 10, 12 years, or whenever it came out, but I'm willing to bet that he had, like, he probably tried to do, like, a very slight, like, Egyptian accent. Like, not Egyptian, like, he would just add, you know, little accents to words.
Little twang.
Yeah, just like a little twang that would, like, oh, he's not from here. So I don't want to go back and rewatch it or find out at all.
Oh God, no.
I'd rather keep it a mystery in my head, but I'm willing to bet that it was something like that.
Yeah, I'm not willing to do that research, but it's probably
I'm
something
willing
like
to
that.
just speculate wildly. So yeah, because I don't know what Black Adam would sound like, because he's from like a fictional place. Same with like Doctor Doom. Like, what would Doctor Doom sound like?
I feel like there was some comic I read recently where they were talking about what Latvian sounds like, and how it was like a mashup of a few different European languages, like, I don't know, like slightly Russian, but a little bit of Turkish and a little bit of this
Yeah,
or
that's
something.
that's about what I imagine. Like, it would probably just be just general Eastern
Yeah.
European accent. Romanian probably
Like
would be a
just
big one.
almost recognizable.
Everyone sounds like vampires. Yeah, so I hope I didn't even think about that he might not do an accent. He has to, because he's basically Egyptian, so he could just, whatever accent I assume he had in Scorpion King, he can just do that again.
It's just going to be a sequel to the Scorpion King, really.
Oh, maybe he'll have the mullet.
And
Then
Brendan,
Black Adam does have long hair usually when he turns back into Teth Adam.
and he'll get to fight Brendan Fraser.
Yeah, they still haven't cast Shazam.
Oh, Jesus.
He'd get a brand new wig for it.
God, that'd be awful.
So, I think we were supposed to be talking about how we got into reading comic books.
Origins, yeah, origins. When did you start reading comics?
I had comics when I was a kid. I don't remember most of them. I remember one because it was a team-up between Blade and Spider-Man. And this was like after the Blade movies came out. So it was like movie Blade and not, comic book colorful outfit Blade. And it was, I don't remember much about it, but I do remember that it was John Romita Jr. that drew it. He did like Kick-Ass and stuff. Only because I only remember that. I don't think I have the issue anymore, but I only remember it because of how his art. It's so very specific that you could pick it out of any lineup. So I remember that, and there was this one guy that had it's like the opposite of cross eyes. Like they both went outwards.
Cockeyes.
Okay, pervert. So I remember that really well. I don't want to look it up because I don't want that in my search engine for cock eyes. This is 2015. We're not going to find what you're talking about first. So yeah, I didn't really read comics when I was a kid. Then I got like super into manga in like 6th grade because my friend had like an issue of Shonen Jump, and I was like, wait a minute, Dragon Ball Z and Yu Yu Hakusho are comics? I can read them? So I was really excited about that because I don't think either of those had finished yet.
Yeah,
Dragon Ball Z might have.
most kids wouldn't care about that. They'd just be like, I can read them? I won't.
Well, okay, I was excited because they were different. Because with the manga to anime translation, it usually doesn't keep everything.
Yeah.
Yu Yu Hakusho has... You watch Yu Yu Hakusho, right?
Nope.
Oh, well, never mind. But I'm still going to talk about it. It does have a lot of differences. Like, the main character smokes a lot for some of the comic. And then they kind of cut down on it later on. But in the show, he never does, because he's like 14. I guess they didn't want that, where more people would see it. I know, but it's Japan, so...
How impressionable.
I like Japan for that, because it's actually weird that they took it out, because they really don't give a crap about what they show their kids, because I'm guessing that they, trust their kids enough to realize that they're not absolute mongoloids who are going to think, oh, well, a cartoon character's doing something, I guess I should do it too. Because, like, what they consider kids comics are, like, hilariously violent and full of swearing, and people smoke, just doing whatever. It's fantastic. Whereas over here, like, when they bring it out, they have to edit, like, One Piece got the worst of it, I think. When they put it on 4Kids, which was, like, notorious for edits, they turned a gun into what looked like, it was like a hammer, on like a spring-loaded hammer on a hinge connected to like a pistol grip, and I guess it would hit somebody when you pulled the trigger.
And it was
and
just
every
a
other
regular gun before?
Yeah, before that it was just a pistol, like it was a pirate, like flintlock. And then after that, every gun they just turned green, so it looked like a squirt gun. Blood was sometimes turned into like sweat and stuff. Sanji always smokes, and they turned that into a lollipop, which he like holds like a cigarette. And they gave him like a Brooklyn accent that made him sound like he also had a cold. So that's not even like editing; that's just terrible casting. But yeah, anyways, I'm way off track.
So what you're saying is you
then,
started reading the comics because it was like more stories that you weren't getting from the
TV
TV
it was
show.
like more stories, and there was stuff that hadn't started over here yet. Like One Piece hadn't started over here by the time I started reading it, and it was rad. And I still love it. Actually, it's on like chapter like 700 something, and it's showing no signs of slowing down. But I didn't start reading, like getting really into. I want to say American comics, but that's incorrect because the first ones I read were like Mark Millar and Garth Ennis, who were Scottish and Irish respectively. But Western comics, I guess, superhero and just not Japanese comics.
White people comics.
White people comics, exactly. Like the first one I really got into was the Ultimates, I think, Mark Millar's, because I had the first volume and I just like never read it.
That's an American comic. I mean. Like,
yeah, but it's written by a Scot.
He's Scottish, but it's Marvel, so.
All right, well, okay, but then the second one I read was Preacher, and that's what really got me into those kind of comics.
Still pretty American
because it's super American, but it's written by an Irish guy and it's independent, so you don't have the company excuse.
That's fair.
But yeah, so Preacher I started getting like the summer before senior year of high school, and then I think I finished getting it by Christmas. Like I think I bought the first 3, and then I bought the first 3 or the first. Jeez, I don't know. I think I got 1, 2, and 9 for some reason.
Of Preacher.
And then I got 3 through 8 like around Christmas. So then I've read it like 5 or 6 times by now because it's just phenomenal. So that's what really got me into it. And I started reading like anything by Garth Ennis, and then I just got super into just any comic. I started getting like Brubaker's Captain America when Bucky was Cap. Because I was like, I'm not really into Captain America, but this Captain America looks cool. And I started reading it, and it was rad. And that's what made me fall in love with Bucky in a totally manly way. And I didn't even get into DC until like 2010 or 11 when I started reading Green Lantern. And then it was basically just reading anything by Jeff Johns, which led me into other DC comics.
So you started reading DC right before the big reboot of all of DC?
Yeah, okay, so it must have been 2010 then, because I know I started reading it before whatever Christmas that was, and they did the reboot in September 2011, or August 2011, so it must have been late 2010. Because I downloaded not the first volume, the Secret Origins volume of Green Lantern, which was like the new version of his origin, which is actually like issues like 37 through 43 or something. Like it is not the beginning of the series. And I started buying them all, like physically, and because I had like this Wizard magazine, it was like this comic book magazine that used to come out, and it had like I got it in the mail, and it had like a Green Lantern cover. I was like, this is kind of cool. Like it was Ivan Reis did the art, and I love him. He did like a lot of Green Lantern.
Yeah.
And then there was like a rundown of like the 10 best moments from Jeff Johns' Green Lantern run, and one of them, which is the reason I got it, it was the fist fight between Hal and Sinestro at the end of the Sinestro Corps War, when their rings are basically out of charge and they literally just fight each other in like a construction building.
Just
so like Hal breaks like a 2x4 over Sinestro and punches him through a window, and that was the picture, was him punching him through a window. And I was like, I should read that because that sounds rad. And I started buying them, and then I got super into DC. So I don't really have a preference as far as DC and Marvel. I don't know why people do. It's kind of stupid because you like what you like. Like, if there was a really great, like if I only like Marvel and there was a really great comic by DC, I wouldn't be like, oh, it's stupid, it's DC. I'd be like, okay, this is a good comic.
Well, yeah,
it doesn't matter what company it is.
There's a difference between having a preference between them and having like loyalty or like taking sides.
That's really stupid. That's why I don't like most comic book nerds, which is like, hypocritical. But
I mean, like,
They take stuff way too
I
seriously.
prefer Marvel, but like, I don't think Marvel is objectively better than DC, or think less of any DC comics. I
Oh, I
love
will
plenty of DC,
absolutely prefer one
DC
over the
comics.
other, but it basically changes day to day. It's like
Yeah,
whatever I'm reading. If I read a bunch of Marvel all at once, I'm like, I'm all about Marvel, and then I'll read a bunch of DC and I'll be like, okay, I like DC again because it's different. It's like completely different stuff. Like DC is way more. I don't know if I'm gonna get this correct. It's way more like fantastical because they are just living gods, whereas Marvel is a lot more like down to earth because half of them, have like, the street level superheroes. Half of them don't have like great powers or don't have powers at all. Like Iron Man, Captain America is like technically is the peak of human perfection, but he can also sometimes like lift cars and stuff. But yeah, so I think it does have different feels, but it's and I'm not using that in the sense that people say the feels because that's ridiculous.
this isn't that
They
kind
do
of
have different
podcast.
they do have different feelings to them, definitely like an aura, but it really does just depend on the day of which one I'm into, like what I want to read that day. Like DC, I'll go to if I want to read like a big space thing because that's Green Lantern. Like as much as I love DNA's Cosmic Marvel run, like nothing beats Green Lantern for me as far as space stuff.
Yeah,
Jeff Johns' Green Lantern, anyway,
true.
which
Yeah,
for me is like one of the finest superhero runs of all time.
it's pretty great. I need to continue that. I haven't read
Yes, you do.
anything.
How far are you?
I, I haven't read any of the New 52 stuff. I read all of the
What's it at?
pre-New 52 Jeff Johns Green Lantern, which
Oh, you're not terribly far behind.
was
Then
still
you're
great.
like 22 issues behind.
Yeah, despite it all happening in 2011, the reboot, it's like not all that much has happened really since then. Like it's pretty easy to catch up on the last 4 years. But yeah, I mean I've always liked Marvel more because of the street level comparison.
Yeah.
Like I like the street level characters more just because I feel like there's more at stake. Like when it's a Superman comic, Superman's not going to die, and he's not even going to get hurt that bad.
What about
most
that one
likely.
time he did die, but totally wasn't dead the whole time?
Since then, probably not going to die. But which I mean is still kind of a stupid claim on my part because even the street level heroes, I know they're not going to die either because it's comic books and either they're not going to die or they're going to die and then come back next issue. But I don't know. I guess with the street level characters, it seems like there's a little bit more at stake and like they're a little bit more in danger, even if they really aren't. So yeah, I thought you had been reading comics longer than that, actually.
No, I've just made up for lost time.
Yeah, I guess so. Which is what I'm currently doing and have been doing since I started. Which was, I guess, the first time I was really introduced to comics, which was by you,
Heyo.
was my freshman year of college, which was when you let me borrow your copies of Preacher and The Boys, or at least however much of The Boys was out at the time.
Yeah, it definitely wasn't done by then. I think it finished in like 2012 or 13.
Yeah.
I think 12 because I think I reread it around Christmas 2012.
I think the first 5 volumes are what you gave me at that time, and so that was my first favorite comic, which didn't have much to go off of at the time, but
So now you just hate it.
pretty no, it's just now I hate everything else because nothing else has
Were
measured
you
up.
about to say pretty much? Yeah, pretty much. Never mind.
No, that's still one of my favorites, especially because it's finished and isn't still
Yeah.
going, and so I can just look at it as a single long piece of work and not like wait for it to keep going. But that was great, as was Preacher, and which is another thing that is about to get adapted for TV at least. And
Yep, next May.
also don't know how to feel about that.
Yeah, we'll see. I hope it's going to be good, but I'm very cautiously optimistic.
Yeah. Like, I don't know. I don't have anything against Seth Rogen. I'm sure he can do fine, but
Yeah, I don't have anything against them. He says he's a fan, and I think Garth Ennis has some involvement. But it
That's
feels
good.
like I think we've talked about this before, but it does feel like half of the plot points don't really work unless it's set in the 90s. And it's like maybe they're going off of how they adapted The Walking Dead, where it's not just like a panel for panel adaptation, but the difference is that The Walking Dead is basically just scenarios with the same characters, whereas Preacher is a whole story with a beginning, a middle, and an end.
Yeah. I don't know. We'll see. There's also just the issue of, which Walking Dead has done fine with, but just adapting something where the source material is very R-rated, and then trying to turn it into a TV show where that isn't always something you can do. Though
you end up with the line they're screwing with the wrong people, which does not sound tough.
Just sounds
like if he just said
goofy.
They're messing with the wrong people, that would have sounded better. Like you didn't need a synonym for fuck. You could have just said they're messing with the wrong people. That sounds fine. Saying they're screwing with the wrong people just sounds silly.
They're farting around with the wrong people. No. Is Preacher going to be on AMC?
Yeah, AMC.
Okay, so yeah, same.
So we probably won't get his lighter.
Yeah, same as Walking Dead. Same level as that. Where, although let's see, so Breaking Bad was on AMC and they got like one fuck per season, I think.
Yeah, and it was just like not even bleeped. It was literally just like the noise cut, and then they would have it uncensored on Netflix and DVD and stuff. So maybe we'll get that.
Yeah, hopefully that'll be enough.
Maybe it'll be a running joke that we never see what's on the lighter. Like maybe he has it, and we just never actually get to see.
Like his thumb's always covering up half of it.
Yeah, like maybe it's always on like the U and the C, like a bit, so you can't see the whole word, and they get away with it. I don't know.
Or it just says communism. Why do you have a lighter that says communism?
Just a lot of hate mail. I fought in Korea.
Became a communist. So yeah, The Boys and Preacher were two of the first comics that you gave me and that I read, and then Walking Dead, shortly after that, I started reading. And since then, I've just, like you said, been making up for lost time, trying to read as much of everything as I can, which I think I've been doing pretty good with, but my problem is that I haven't had time to reread a lot of things. And so I end up forgetting a lot of stuff shortly after reading it because I just read it the once, and then because of how much stuff I'm reading, it all gets blurred together. So I need to
reread Invincible.
Yeah, I have been doing that because I just started ordering the volumes, and so I've got the first 5 right now.
I got the first 21.
Oh, Mr. Moneybags.
I got them over years.
I'll get there. Invincible is my favorite comic, I think, of anything I've read so far.
Yeah, I kind of like flip around. Like I'll go Invincible or Walking Dead or Preacher. I think it's like I love The Walking Dead, but I think it's safe to say that it's probably not going to end up being my favorite comic.
I love Walking Dead. I think that's just kind of I don't know, it seems like sort of a safe comic. Like, even when something weird, like, or something dramatic, something super bad happens, it's like, okay, that's what happens in this universe. It's just, people are going to die. I'm kind of used to it at this point.
Whereas Invincible is just insane, and keeps doing the unexpected and going in different directions, and, like, when things change, they actually change.
Yeah.
As opposed to changing for 3 issues and then going back.
It's just great. I love it.
And then Preacher is just fantastic. Plus, it's over, so I know that it's not going to get bad.
Yeah.
I doubt Invincible or Walking Dead will, but, who knows, Robert Kirkman could go mental.
Or die, and then someone else gets to take it over.
His child.
Does he have a child?
I think he's got 2, and I think they're both toddlers.
Okay.
It'll be like X-Cop.
Yeah, I would read that, the X-Cop version of Walking Dead. So yeah, I was always a Marvel fan growing up, like even before I read comics.
Yeah, I was too.
So like, watching the cartoons, like the X-Men Evolution cartoon, and all the movies once they started coming out, X-Men and Spider-Man and all that. So
it doesn't help that DC didn't have too many good movies.
Yeah, not since Batman. What was the second one? Batman Returns.
I never liked those movies.
No, not even the
I don't like
Keaton
Tim
one.
Burton. No, I don't like Tim Burton movies in general. I like, what did I like? I like Beetlejuice and I like Sleepy Hollow. The rest of his movies I just find, like, if you could feel pretension through a movie, it would be his movies.
Plus, it's just they all kind of feel the same.
Yeah, they're all samey. Sweeney Todd was decent. It's not something like I used to watch Sleepy Hollow like a bunch. Like there was a summer I used to watch like every day because I just loved that movie.
I haven't seen it.
It's on Netflix right now. It's really good. Johnny Depp, back when he was like still played characters, but like not just the same one every time.
Even though
he wasn't just trying to get wackier and wackier.
Even though that was the same character that he'd be playing.
Yeah, but that was before he did it, 300 times. But it's a good movie. It's got Christopher Walken as the Headless Horseman.
Like, is he actually headless, or is it like he becomes headless?
When he's headless, it's Ray Park, the guy who played Darth Maul. But when he has his head, it's Christopher Walken, and he's got like filed down, sharp teeth. He never talks.
Like Christopher Walken. Oh, if he doesn't talk, then I don't see any point.
Then
in
it's
it being
like, what's the
Walken.
point of having Christopher Walken? Yeah, unless he's going to be like, so you need to give me a head so I can ride off into the night. I don't think that's how Christopher Walken talks.
Bullseye, Christopher Walken.
There was this video I saw. It was like called the Steven Seagal Show or something on YouTube. It was like a cartoon, and this is episode 3. And it starts off with Christopher Walken in this diner talking to these guys. Like it's like the guys who make the videos. Like it's like a meta whatever thing. And he's like in the middle of a story, and he's like, and so the reindeer looks up at me and he says, "It's okay. Nobody has to know." And then Steven Seagal comes in and starts murdering people because he didn't appreciate the fact they were making videos making fun of him.
Even though he wasn't in it at that point, it was just Christopher Walken.
He was in the first 2 episodes. This was episode 3.
Okay.
And I think it was just him versus Crocodile Dundee and him versus an old man, and then it was him versus the guys who made cartoons.
I assume he won with his masterful Hapkido.
I don't remember. You mean Aikido?
Aikido, whatever. Hapkido might be from Mortal
Kombat. I don't know
Kombat.
what Hapkido is. It probably is from Mortal Kombat. He does Aikido, and then he also had a lightsaber ring in the cartoon.
Oh, I was really hoping you were talking about real life Steven Seagal.
In real life, when he's a cop in Louisiana.
So anyway, yeah,
comic books.
Yeah, I started
get
out
on Steven Seagal. Christopher Walken.
You got on Steven Seagal.
Oh yeah, because Batman movie.
There we
That's
go.
what we're talking.
There we go.
Yeah.
So yeah, I was more of a fan of Marvel before I started reading comics. So when I did start reading comics, that was where I went to first and tried to kind of catch up on everything Marvel. Which
catch up. Sorry.
Is that funny? Is that a joke?
It is now.
Is that funny to you?
Hashtags.
So now I'm mostly caught up on Marvel stuff, except for Secret Wars, which there are now over 100 issues of various tie-ins.
You read Brubaker's Captain America, right?
Yes, I did.
All of it?
Yes, I
What
believe
about
so.
Winter Soldier?
All of Winter Soldier except for the most recent series, Bucky Barnes, the Winter Soldier. And
Yeah, I meant like Brubaker's Winter Soldier.
Yeah.
I've actually only read the first 5 issues. He did like the first 14 issues, and I have all the volumes. I'm not planning on reading them until I reread his Captain America. And I just haven't had time yet. So I've been reading a bunch of other stuff.
And there was that other one you mentioned, the Bitter March.
Yeah, that was really good. That was Rick Remender.
Okay, so then I've done all of Brubaker's Winter
And
Soldier.
that's just based on the 60s is Bitter March. So he's not even really the main character. It's this other dude because he's still just like basically a brainwashed assassin. He's like a few moments where he's not, but for the most part, he's just like a Terminator in it, coming after the main character.
That still sounds pretty rad.
It's pretty rad.
And it's
it's Rick Remender. It's good. It's good.
Yeah.
It's a good comic.
Yeah, so I will be reading that. And now that I am mostly caught up on Marvel stuff, I've been reading DC slowly but surely and trying to do the same with that and get all caught up so that I can just kind of, just be caught up with everything and then read more at my leisure and
So all
reread
the
things.
cool guys down at the comic store stop making fun of you.
Yeah.
Words can hurt.
They need to know that.
What was that in?
The League.
When, yeah. With the Asian frittata.
Yeah.
He's like, your words hurt. You need to know that.
Well, to be fair, Ruxin washed his hands in a urinal.
Yeah.
And he shouldn't have done
fault.
that. Yeah.
But he didn't know. But also, he's Ruxin. So.
I know not to wash my hands in urinals, so...
Yeah, but Chinatown, everything's backwards. The water flows differently.
He's a lawyer.
He's got kind of annoying. I mean, he was like annoying, but in like a funny way, and now he's just sort of.
Is this where you find out you're anti-Semitic?
It's his forever unclean thing that he always says. It's gotten the way he says it has gotten worse and worse as every time he said it.
I think the problem was in the last season they tried to force like every catchphrase that anyone had in the show. They tried to like bring it all back. Like it was fine when it was first
the first like few seasons when they would do stuff like that, it was fine. But then as it goes on, it's like, oh my god, we get it. You have your own catchphrases, or not like things you say as a group.
It's probably just a sense of like, you know, they found out what the fans liked and quoted.
Yeah.
And we're like, oh, well, if they love that, let's just do all of that all at once.
But like he would every time, like originally when he said it, it was just like, oh, blah blah blah, forever unclean, and now it's like, blah, 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 forever unclean. Like it just gets like a witch is saying it.
Yeah. They don't act like normal people anymore.
No, except for Taco. Taco's down to earth.
Yeah, he's a real normal guy.
Earthy, like all of the food that Andrew Zimmern describes.
What?
The guy from Bizarre Foods. You ever watch that?
I don't.
He goes around the world. Oh, it's funny. He goes around the world and like eats different foods.
Is it supposed to be funny?
Probably. I don't know. It's on the Travel Channel, so yes. But like he just eats like different cultures' foods and stuff. So usually he'll eat like really gross stuff, and he describes it, and half the time. Like you could set your watch by how often he describes something as earthy, which is not like how I would describe good food. Because he's saying it as a compliment.
And he's not just like sampling, like getting soil samples from every country.
No, he's eating like bull testicles and like centipedes and whatever. And he's like, yeah, it's got like a really like a down home earthy feel or earthy taste, and it's like that makes it sound like you're eating soil.
Well, it makes it sound like this is a guy that can't distinguish tastes.
This is a guy who said he was homeless in San Francisco once, so maybe that's why. To him, that's like good cooking.
Can you be just homeless once? Like,
well, he's got a TV show now.
Like it's just a day.
He's also got a wife and a kid, which I'm not sure I believe that.
They're still homeless.
I meant more with like how like fabulous he is.
I bet his wife has a real earthy taste.
Gross.
Ugh.
But it's a funny show.
Is it on Netflix?
Comic books.
Because if it's not on Netflix, I'm not going to watch it.
I think at least one season is. Oh my god! In this one episode, he went to somewhere where they have camels, and
Afghanistan.
They, maybe I don't know. It was somewhere. It was a desert. It was like a Indiana Jones bazaar, and there was a camel, but they killed the camel to eat it, and they cut its throat, right, and then blood just sprays out, and the camel freaks out and starts running around all weird.
Yeah, I've seen that. Not this episode, but that is what they do with camels. They bleed them out, and why wouldn't they like? It is not a quick death.
First. Yeah, like knock it out first, so it's not just running around leaking everywhere.
Or just shoot it in the head or something. It's got to be some more humane way. Did it turn out to be like someone's camel that they weren't supposed to kill?
No, they were good. They were fine.
Free range camel.
You remember that Key or not Key and Peele, Michelin Webb skit, the Pint and a Prayer?
No.
He was like it was the one that looked like the penguin. I never remember which one's which.
David Mitchell.
David Mitchell. And
the shorter, stouter one.
Yeah, the one who looks like the penguin. Like if they did like put the penguin in a movie, he's the one they should cast. That's not an insult. I'm just saying that's what he looks like.
Danny DeVito. He already was the Penguin in the movie. This happened already.
Yeah, okay, but David Mitchell could play like a much more like suave, like cooler Penguin than Danny DeVito, who was a sewer, like an actual sewer dweller in that movie.
Because he has an English accent, sure.
Because he has an English accent. He looks more like the one from Earth One, where he wasn't like a little tiny blob. He was still short, but he wasn't like, just a blubbery mess.
Which is the Penguin supposed to be English in the comics? Because it seems like
half the time he is.
Yeah, like in the video games, and it's been a while since I've seen it, but I assume in the animated series he had the same accent.
Yeah, it depends. I think in the comics sometimes he is. I don't think he was in Earth One, because I think he was like a Gotham native, because he was like the mayor. But I think his thing is that he is from Gotham, but I want to say that he was sent to like London to go to school or something.
Primary school.
I don't know what's going on. I don't care about the Penguin. What are we talking about? Yeah. So he plays. It's him as like a travel show host where he goes to different bars, and he's like super religious. And every time he does he's like, and we'll end with a hymn. This one was requested by these two people, and he always says it's supposed to be from Sussex, which is a place in England, but he always says from Bumsex, and then he sings it. And then in the last, there's like three of them. In the last one, he says they are from Sussex, not, as I previously said, Bumsex. And he'll like be interviewing somebody at that place. The first one was in Tokyo, and he's talking to this guy, and he's like talking about like, oh, what do we have in common? And we like Elvis and Pac-Man, and the guy's like, oh, Pac-Man's from Japan. And he's like, is he? And I forgot how he brought it up, but he said he chased. He said he chases ghosts, and he's like, oh, not the Holy Ghost, I'm sure. And the Japanese guy, has like a bit of an accent, and he's like Holy Ghost, and he's like,
wait. Was this an actual Japanese person, or was this?
Yeah, this was an actual. This was not Webb. The guy to get.
Okay.
No, this wasn't Webb. He's only in one of them as like a scientist at the Large Hadron Collider, where the host asks him why he's trying to blow up the universe. But he's like Holy Ghost, and he's like no, Holy Ghost. And he's like, oh, Holocaust, and he's like, no Pac-Man's not about the Holy. No, of course not. So yeah, that was. I got here somehow. I don't remember how.
Do we need to backtrace again?
Nah, I'm good. Comic books.
The Penguin was mentioned.
Yeah, how maybe British he is. No, I think the Penguin was mentioned because I mentioned David Mitchell.
Well, however, it does surprise me how, at least in the comics I've read with him and so far recently, how good at killing the Penguin is. Like, not just at hiring other people to kill. Like, he's actually able to kill people by hand.
Gross little scrapper.
But like, he seems to be, the exact body type that you could, stick your arm out and put your hand on his head and keep him from reaching you.
Fight you. Didn't you see the movie where he bit that dude's nose off?
I'll take your word for it.
When he was Sir Daniel DeVito? That sounds weird. That makes him sound like he should be taller.
Wait, is there a height requirement for knighting? Because there should be.
Probably not. I mean, like, how big is the Queen? She can't be that big.
About 3 feet, 4 feet.
Yeah, there you go.
On stilts.
Tiny bones and conspiracies to kill Diana and stuff. Weighing her down.
Whoa.
Yeah, we're getting real. This is real talk.
Are we breaking this wide open?
You guys, real talk.
Can you be charged with treason? Are you British enough for that?
I don't know.
Treason against the crown?
I think anybody's allowed to make fun of the Queen. I don't think we have those, like, freedom of the speech, crazy rules. You can't say certain things, but also freedom of speech things in England. I think you can make fun of the Queen however much you want.
But, like, you wouldn't, because then she'd be really sad.
Exactly, that would be mean.
Yeah.
Unless you're Frankie Boyle, and then you get your show canceled, I think, or you get kicked off TV because you made jokes about her vagina. But he's Scottish, so it's okay.
I believe they say fanny over there.
Just all of them. They all say minge. I know, right?
Sounds worse.
It does. It sounds like it's got stuff in it. Like lint.
Like a stuffed minge?
Gross.
Is that what you're saying? That's
No,
what
I
I'm
hope
hearing.
not. I really hope not. Um,
I
so
think that
the
about
comic-
sums up our origins. Actually, that was
yeah,
pretty
that's,
quick.
that's how comics do good stuff.
It's how those entered our lives.
And I've never looked back. I still read manga. Oh yeah, that's one thing. I can't really get into most manga anymore. Like I still read like some of the stuff I used to read that hasn't ended, like One Piece, and like GTO. I love Gantz. I loved the new one by the guy
Gantz,
who made Gantz is good. But
Gantz
like,
is complete, right? Like that's finished.
yeah, that's done. That finished like 2 years ago.
Okay, I should get around to reading that because that was basically the one manga that I ever read.
And it's really good because it's not really like a manga. Like if it was flipped and in color, like even the art isn't really manga like. Like the people look way more realistic than most manga.
They still look Japanese though, and that's all
Yeah,
that matters.
nobody likes Japanese in manga. You read like other manga? They have like
No,
giant eyes and tiny mouths
I
and stuff.
just told you that I haven't.
Shut up. um, but yeah, so most manga I cannot get into anymore because of not like how serious American comics are, but how less flippant they are. And they always have like the epic destiny type characters in manga. They have those over here too, but I don't really get into those either. But it's like, you know, I'm a ninja. I was raised in this clan, and they taught me to be the perfect killer, and I'm smug about everything. I hate that so much.
So like they're not very flawed characters.
Yeah, I like flawed characters, and they don't really have a lot of those. Like the biggest flaws they have is like, oh, I keep falling into women's breasts. Look how wacky it is.
Poor thing.
But some stuff I still like because it doesn't really have that. Like I like a lot of slice of life manga where it's literally just like basically comedy in people's lives, and they're just like in high school or whatever, and those are fine.
If I were to get into a manga, it would probably be something like that.
Yeah, I got you that Azumanga Daioh. I don't think you've read
It's
it.
true. I started it and I didn't finish it, and I think it's still sitting somewhere in my parents' house, probably on a
Yeah,
bookshelf
but
in my
so
room.
is two versions of Mjolnir, so that's good.
That is true. There's some of the props from the.
Don't say that. Don't tell. They don't need to know.
They
Just
don't know
let
my
them wonder.
address.
No, I meant just let them wonder.
Oh, okay.
What I meant by you having two versions of Mjolnir in your house. Of Mjolnir.
It's exactly what it sounds like.
So, yeah, I think that about wraps it up.
Yeah.
It was actually a properly lengthened episode, as opposed to the other ones that are like an hour and a half.
Yeah, which I guess we'll try to do more often. But
Try to do hour and a half episodes more often, or try to do
cut it down
episodes more?
to normal lengths.
Yeah, I think 45 minutes to an hour is a good podcast length
Palatable.
for us. Like if How Did This Get Made was like 3 hours long each, I'd be totally fine with it.
Yeah, that'd be fine. Anything else that you're reading now or recently that you want to recommend to people?
52 is good. I'm not really like that's really where what I'm reading most. Then I read stuff, whatever comes out every week. And then I don't know what I'm going to read after I finish all this JSA stuff. I'll probably just fall into a pit of misery because I won't. It'll be over. Like I reread.
Well, then you can reread it.
Well, I reread Dragon Ball Z, like the manga. It's like Dragon Ball and Dragon Ball Z together.
Mm-hmm.
A few years ago, I reread it again this year, and this thing didn't happen. But when I reread it a couple years ago, it was like super depressing after it finished because it was like these characters are just gone. Like what happens? And I was like really bummed out.
You'll be okay.
Yeah. Plus now there's another manga.
Another Dragon Ball Z manga. Yeah.
Yeah, but it's super slow. There's only been like 3 chapters in like 3 months. But there's the new anime. I can't wait for that to come out over here.
Does manga tend to come out really fast compared to Western?
Oh yeah,
comics?
once a week.
Ooh, nice.
I know, but it's also like black and white. Though unless it's like Gantz, then it comes out like whenever they feel like.
And you'll wait because you like it.
Yeah, because it's so good. But for the most part, like most popular stuff, because it's in like a magazine, it'll come out once a week because the magazine's out once a week. But they have like a group of people working on it. Like there's the guy who writes it and draws it, and then there's people that will do like backgrounds and they'll do screen tone and all this other stuff.
Cool.
But it must be pretty hectic. I think they pretty much do the entire issue, or it's like a chapter, so it's like around 19, 20 pages, and they'll do that in like, I know most of them are schedules, so it's like 3 or 4 days, and they'll do the whole thing. Because I think they're usually like a few weeks ahead. Otherwise, you just kill yourself. And they have enough of that over there.
Yeah, those poor people. With their suicide forests. Forests, as we call them here.
Yeah, it's just implied.
Yeah. Okay, well then on my end, I would say the recent Hawkeye and Daredevil runs both
Oh my god.
were
I
fantastic.
cannot wait to get Volume 4 of Daredevil so I can reread all of it.
It's great. It's Matt
And I think
Fraction's Hawkeye.
I'll definitely get Volume 4 of Hawkeye soon so I can read 1, 2, and 4. I don't really care about Volume 3 because I'm a sexist.
Yeah, it's alright. There's nothing wrong with Kate Bishop. She's just not Hawkeye.
Yeah, it's just... Yeah. If it was collected as it was released, I'd like it more.
Yeah.
But I wouldn't want to read a whole volume of just her in the middle of all this Clint Barton stuff.
I'd be fine with it if it was more related, like if it was actually tied into his story.
Yeah.
But she's just kind of leaves
She's
and goes
pretty
to
much just
California.
there, and then she just shows up in like the last couple issues of Daredevil, or god damn it, Hawkeye.
Yeah. So yeah, Matt Fraction's Hawkeye and Mark Waid's Daredevil, which was 2 volumes, like not just the
Two runs.
Yeah, 2 runs.
It was total. I think it's 11 volumes, and the last one isn't out yet. It's not out until like November.
Yeah. But both of those things were awesome and fantastic.
Yeah.
And
I didn't like Daredevil. I didn't give a crap about Daredevil before that.
Yeah. And so if you've watched the TV show Daredevil, that's not quite the same. A little bit lighthearted compared to the show.
But it's like lighthearted in a good way. It's not like like you wouldn't give it to a kid.
No, it's still got its dark moments.
Yeah. Like when he gets super depressed.
Well, that happens like once or twice.
Yeah. But they did add that page in the volume that wasn't in the issue where it's more hopeful.
Yes, I know what you're talking about. But the listeners don't, because they haven't read it yet, but they should.
There was a page, he gets like super depressed, and he's like in his bed just like clutching a pillow, and he's all like, oh, I'm sad.
And that's where it ends.
That's literally where it ends. And then in the volume, so this was like maybe 5-6 months between this issue releasing and the volume releasing. The volume added a page at the end where he calls his girlfriend, and then she's like, he's like, hey, can you come talk? And she's like, I never left, and he opens the door, so symbolically he's letting her in. And that was really nice, because I just want Matt to be happy. That's it. It's not too much to ask.
That's all he wants to.
And he's letting his hair grow a little bit now, too. I'm glad. He looked weird with like a buzz cut.
Yeah. I didn't really care for his new look. Either the buzz
I'm
cut...
glad that it was very temporary. He got like a suit, like a new costume that was literally just a red like suit and tie.
A very bright red suit and tie.
Yeah, like Daredevil red.
Yeah.
And then in like the last fight with Ikari, he just like passionately rips it off, and he's wearing his Daredevil costume underneath.
Mysteriously.
So that was great, because I love that costume.
Yeah. It's a classic. But like, I don't want his classic uniform that was yellow.
Yellow.
That, looked like it had actually been designed by a blind person. Which I assume is what they were going for.
It was designed after his dad's fighting robes.
Yeah, I mean, I get that's where it came from, but like, a sighted person would still look at that and say,
He can probably
I can
feel
do better.
colors or something.
No, he cannot.
Maybe he can like feel the fabric, and he like based on the dye, he can be like, "Oh, this is yellow.
This feels like indigo."
Smells like blue."
Oh man, what if Daredevil got synesthesia and started smelling colors?
I bet he'd love that, because he'd know how colors work then.
Yeah.
I've been wearing red this whole time? Objection.
Do you know who's supposed to... there's a Daredevil series coming back, I assume, after Secret Wars.
Charles Soule.
Oh, so he is writing that, okay.
And then Ron Garney is doing the art.
I don't know him.
He did the third art... Oh wait, you haven't finished God of Thunder, have you?
No, I just read the first 2 volumes.
Okay. He did the third, most of the third volume.
Okay.
And he did some of Jason Aaron's Wolverine Weapon X, and then some of his regular Wolverine as well. It's got like a really like like a scratchy style. It's good. Like on Wolverine, it's really good. On Thor, it wasn't as good. So we'll see how I'm sure on Daredevil, like a street level gritty superhero would be really good.
Okay.
And he's got a new costume. It's black, and then the gloves and boots are red. And his identity is secret again somehow. Not sure how.
Magic,
They're gonna explain
probably.
it. Magic. And he's got an apprentice named, I don't think they've said his superhero name yet, but I think his name's like Samuel Chung or Chan or something. And he's like an immigrant in Chinatown.
Alright. Well, that should be interesting.
Yeah. Probably won't be as good as Mark Waid's, but I think that's gonna be like, that's the Jeff Johns Green Lantern of Daredevil comics.
Set the standard.
Like that's the run.
It was pretty great. Sad to see it end, but I mean, better that it end while it's good than.
Yeah, like Harvey Dent said, better to die a hero than, I'm paraphrasing, be a villain. I don't remember what he said.
Better to die a hero than get real old and gross.
And a bad knee.
That tells you when it rains.
Okay, so that I think is the end of our episode. Not that bullshit ending 10 minutes ago.
That was a mislead.
Yeah, that was misleads.
Had you going.
Alright, so for the Waxing Comical podcast, I am Dane.
And I'm Luke.
Bye!
Bye, guys.
Click.